brains are exploding. These are, like, I can't think like that. I'm just like so impressed. But, you know, I think that the lesson with a 401 too is that, you know, even though Fidelity, when you call them, that they'll give you guidance, you really need to either go to your own personal financial advisor, because, you know, it's still a different company that's connected to St. Barnabas. Like, you should,
manage your money.
right?
Manage your own money.
Exactly. You should be managing your own money, going to your own person that you trust, and then making those decisions. So I just wanted to tell you that St. Barnabas did come to us on Monday, and you should have gotten your health benefit changes in the mail, and if you didn't get it yet, then you're going to get it. I'm not really an expert at talking about all these changes, but there are going to be changes, and the percentages have increased. I don't have I need a different one here. This one is not. This is what the hospital gave us. When I mean us, myself, Mary, and for those of you who came in late, Mary Barbas is our vice president. So when they called us, they called the lawyer and they said, we want to talk to you, we want to have a meeting. So we go to these meetings, they basically just give us the changes. So as best as I could go through this, you could also look at it. Tier 1 is basically the exclusive plan that is all participating, like you're exclusively at St. Barnabas, and you do everything through St. Barnabas. And that tier will be staying, I believe, will be staying the same. Where's the percentage? Oh, here it is. Yeah. That will be, the current is 1.8% per participant. For participant only, it will be basically staying the same. Participant and 1, it'll be going up to 2.7%, and then family will be going up to 3.3%. The other plans, the tier 2 and the tier 3, that's all out of network, and there used to be a perimeter for a certain amount of miles, and then it was out of network. Now there's basically no perimeter. They took the perimeters away. What is it? Quadcale. Just diving in because you know this is confusing. Also, there's going to be a deductible, even for the tier 1, it'll be $500 for single and $1,000 for all others, for parent, child, and family. But then they have these health and these health rewards incentive, where if you do 2 out of these 3 healthy rewards account, meaning the health assessment and pledge, the biometric screening, or the preventative visits, you will avoid a $30 a month non-participation surcharge. Whereas if you don't participate, then you have to, if you don't do those 2 out of those 3 things, you now have to pay an extra $30 a month. What? On top of your increase. Also one of the biggest changes also is if you have a spouse that has his or her own coverage,
Or their company provides.
or their company provides their coverage. So, say Lisa's husband works for wherever, UPS, and they have benefits. They want him to take the benefits at his job, and if he does not prefer to take the benefits at his job and wants to stay on Lisa's plan, Lisa will now have to pay $100 more a month.
A month?
For spousal contribution. They're basically saying, we want the husbands or the wives to take the plan at their company. We don't want, they will cover the family, the family, you'll still get the same coverage basically for the family, but the husband or the wife, that if you don't have coverage as a husband or wife, then it's a no-brainer, it's the same way. But if you have coverage at your other job, then you're gonna either, if you wanna stay in the St. Barnabas plan with your spouse, then you're gonna have to pay $100.
And some people will pay the $1,200 a year because some of the other plans that the spouse is in are very expensive. So $1,200, when they figure it out, is cheap. So this is what's going on in the marketplace. So the hospital is going into the same thing as what's happening all over the world. But it's just sad that, you know,
Your emergency room pay is going from $50 to $100, but they'll waive it if you get admitted. You're dead. With the pharmacy, they're actually lowering the generic, but then if you have a brand name that your doctor wants you to have, you have to pay basically a penalty of $100 annually for getting the brand name. They want you to go to the generic. And we asked, was it $100 per prescription? They said, no, it's a $100 annual fee. That's exactly what we said to them, and they said, like we gave an example of Lipitor, because I think some doctors absolutely want Lipitor, and they said, well, if there's a generic that's like a statin close to it, then you will be charged the $100.
I didn't mention that, so, yeah.
Correct.
They did say that the perimeter for pediatrics stays, for quality care, stays the same. So if you're out of network with your pediatrician and your children, that stays the same. That's what they did say. So that perimeter, yeah. I know. No, the rewards thing is only for the employee.
Correct. But
only-
why don't they let our customer, our family, join that so we can have another $30 off?
Because they really don't want to cover the spouse. You're asking me to explain how St. Barnabas thinks, and I am way past that. I'm sorry. Exactly have that correct. He said, their person, Sig Seligman, basically said that we want our employees to be healthy. And I said, but why are you penalizing? He goes, well, that will give them the incentive to do these healthy things.
Yeah, it's just something they can do, so they're gonna do it. And
They're saying that companies all around are doing this type thing. It's a deductible. It's a deductible. And if you do the healthy thing, that $30 per month goes towards the deductible, right? No, wait. No, go ahead.
If you do the healthy thing, you don't pay the $30 a month,
Right.
and you don't have a deductible.
Right.
You're gonna get gift card for $250.
I don't even know if they're gonna do the gift cards, but like, just like, you don't have to pay the $30 a month, and you don't have the deductible if you do the health things.
Right, so it's an easy enough thing to do, you'd be silly not to.
That's what they, that's what they said to us yesterday. I mean, we could certainly clarify. I'm not claiming to be an expert at this. They only gave this to us the other day, and I haven't, I mean, I'm sure that you're getting something in the mail.
So that's a flexible savings account.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but this is something different.
I don't know that they're offering that to the union.
No, that might be the healthy rewards account.
Yeah. Flexible savings is you can take amount of money and put it into it.
No,
It's
no.
not it was healthy rewards account.
It was like something separate.
Well, there's a healthy rewards account. It's not what that's what we're talking about.
And it will roll them.
Yeah. Dana.
One question with the pharmacy. I know I asked you, but I don't know if you.
Yeah, I don't have that answer. I didn't, you asked that after.
Some prescriptions don't have a brand, don't have a generic, they're brand only.
I
So
know.
then what happens with those?
As far as, they said they were going to give but your question was, because, do you mind me saying it? Since birth control is free, but the birth control has got a brand name to it, are you still going to be charged $100 a year?
No, I think that's part of
That
it.
I don't know, because you asked that question after we came out of that meeting, so I'm going to have to ask.
You're not supposed to get charged for any, like mammography.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So Mary says that it's in that Obama, you're not supposed to
We'll
charge
check
for it.
that out and let you know.
Yes, it's more
Yeah, as long as
Yeah. Why?
no, you shouldn't be.
So, I mean, like I said, I don't have all the answers to this, but just know that that these changes are going to be coming, and what we are trying to do at the table basically is they're changing our health benefits. They change it every single time, and our raise gets eaten up with that. So what we are trying to say to you basically is that when we call upon you to stand behind us, and because at the table we can't, but they know nobody's behind us at the table.
2% a year is not good.
You're right. So what are we going to do about it?
We're going to demand a healthy lot more.
We have to stand up and demand it. It is ridiculous, Michelle. It is ridiculous.
We need to
We
get
need
the
everybody right on that, we need everybody.
And we need everybody out there, whether we have to picket, whether we have to rally, whether we say Barnabas hates people going to the public. We'll have to leaflet the community. I mean, I know a lot of you are like, well, we've done that before in the past, but no, this is the time. Every single contract, they chew up our raise. Every single contract, there's some change, and it's more cost to us. Now it's the pension and it's the health benefits. Now is the time that we have to do something. And I don't want to hear people say, well, I've got this going on, I've got this, I've got school, I've got children. We all have that. But if we don't stand together and fight for this, we're not going to be able to do it at the table. So we can only do so much at the table. They need to know that there's a whole army behind us. There's 1,000 of us up here. 1,000.
And they do take very, into account when you go to the community. We went to the 100-year celebration at Kimball when we were having our contract, and they practically dropped dead. They couldn't believe that we were outside handing leaflets out to the people that were coming in for the celebration, and to let them know we were in contract negotiations, and they didn't think that we deserved a raise.
I mean, I know, I'm sorry.
The community's not going to sympathize, but they don't want the
They don't want
community
people
to know
to
what's
say
They don't like the
The
publicity.
attitude in the community is well, hey,
Yeah,
we're dealing with the same thing.
But it's-
But when you get a
You're
cost of
informing
living
people.
raise and it's constantly taken away, I mean,
Hey,
yes.
It's like the 70s.
right.
Yeah, well, but
Yeah.
we are gonna call upon you to step up. Whether we call upon you to help us leaflet, to just stand out there for a rally, but we can't do it again, because they're gonna look out the window and they're gonna say, oh, Lisa, Tracy, Maria, and Tracy, okay, it's no big deal.
You know, I know, Ms. Claude,
Nurses as the most, with firemen and policemen, when they fill out surveys. So they do listen to us in the community. And, you know, I go to a lot of, 65 and over places and talk about, you know, health and blood pressures and stuff like that. And they do like nurses and they do listen. And they do take your, how many times have you been asked, should I use Dr. So-and-so? What can you tell me? You know, that type of thing. So they do listen and they do, you know, and they are having their own problems. Everybody's trying to make, you know, their salaries together. People
And
don't
they think
realize.
that you have health benefits when you do retire.
And did you tell them you have no health
You
benefits?
have no health benefits, which, by the way, we proposed again.
And I had health benefits when I
We
retired.
proposed, you know, we
You can't kill a
proposed,
can of soup.
right. We've made
You know, really.
proposals that give us a, you know, a reasonable increase. We've also made proposals so that, you know, we're compensated if there is an increase. These are the proposals that have come from, you know, the membership. So those are the financial part of it that, I mean, we're really focusing on the pension and health benefits.
We asked that question.
We
Yes,
said,
they said no, it didn't affect, like, one of the spouses is retired, it doesn't affect it. It would be like a secondary, Medicare comes first and this plan would be secondary.
Okay, so that's your primary and
Right.
part is the secondary.
Yeah, so it wouldn't affect it. We did ask that because we have a lot of nurses in that situation at Kimball too. And they said Medicare wasn't affected.
Okay.
Wouldn't you be
Nurse
secondary?
employed full-time in St. Barnabas. Her spouse is retired. Is her insurance, medical insurance, and her spouse is on her medical insurance. What's primary for him, Medicare or St. Barnabas insurance? It used to be that St. Barnabas insurance was primary.
Medicare would probably say that.
Would say what?
Medicare would say.
Part of it's primary.
Yes, okay.
But they don't have to pay the $100. Right, even though, he is, well, no, they said that the $100 only has to be paid if the spouse is at work and the employer has insurance available.
That he's choosing not to take.
It has nothing to do with
But State
Medicare.
Barnabas names the retired person, the spouse of the employee's primary insurance, not Medicare.
We asked that question, I don't think we got an answer.
That's another thing we're talking about.
Well, the employee's still working.
Well, we asked that, but because the law is changing so much in this area, I'm not sure. I mean, social Medicare has always tried to be secondary, but in that situation where he is retired but has insurance through her, I'm not sure what Medicare would do.
But we did ask the $100 question, that's
I
right.
did get an answer to that. What was the question? No, I mean, what's the
That
question
if
here?
he's on Medicare, he's not working, we don't have to pay the $100 for him every month.
Right,
Right.
what they
They-
told
So
us.
this $100
penalty.
this is mandated by the Affordable Care Act?
No, no.
Or is this just something that
This
Barnabas
is-
Health is doing?
St. Barnabas Health, it's
Okay.
actually
And
quite
it's
common.
everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is, there are other companies
GE
doing
is
this?
doing it, all the big companies have done it for a
St.
while.
Barnabas doesn't have to do it.
They don't have to do it, but they're
No.
trying.
Today in the
Have to.
paper, there was an article about the University of, I think it was Penn State, that posed this on their faculty, and the faculty was up in arms about it, because they also had a requirement that they had to go online and fill out all these forms, which asked them incredibly personal questions, such as they were asking female faculty, do you plan to get pregnant over the next 2 years? So there was an uproar about this, and they stopped it to try to work out what would be permissible questions. But my point is that it's increasingly common to try to force employees into wellness programs because it reduces the cost to the employer.
Well, it makes sense.
Ways of doing it. One is,
This is Ken Noah, who's our legal counsel.
Obviously, if they put people into wellness programs more and more, it will reduce costs, and it might be better for the employee herself. But there are two ways of doing it, and what they did last time was that they did it by a sort of a carrot. They reduced your contribution if you went into this slightly, but they reduced it. This year, they're using the stick, that if you don't participate in it, you will be charged an additional fee.
Clearly, enough people didn't do it on their own.
Nobody wanted to because they felt like it was an invasion. They didn't want St. Barnabas to know about their information.
Well, I don't know how many did it. We can find that out, but obviously they want everybody to.
So is that?
When you choose select options, you don't have to select a tier, right? It's
No.
just, if you choose to go out of network, your deductible will change.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct, okay.
Yeah, you're either select or exclusive.
So if you haven't, even if you have select, if you haven't gone out of network, then there's no deductible.
Right.
It's only deductible
If you go out
you
of
go
network.
out of network.
Right.
No, in network, there's the 500 and 1,000, but you can address that
With the
through
HRA.
through the wellness options.
Okay.
The wellness options, you still have the deductible, but they'll put money into an account for you to use towards that deductible. If you don't use it, it rolls over into the next year. They pay that.
That's your $30 that you're not paying a month, and it's you're doing these 3 things that they ask you to do.
No, just
No.
no. Just you. So you go for your preventative care and you do one of the biometric thing. So you did 2 out of the 3.
Just have to do 2 out of 3.
And that's it. And then you don't have to pay the 1,000 for your family deductible, and you don't have to pay the $30.
Right.
Right. Yeah, and then if you don't use the deductible, those money you earned, it rolls into the next year.
But if your husband,
Okay, but that thousand, say, for my family, that $1,000, they put it into an account?
No, it's like It's like monopoly money, that you first use it when you need a deductible, and if you don't use it, it rolls into the next year.
Yes, it's not like they're giving you, and, you know, it's a weird. Because you're not gonna pay anymore because you did your preventative thing. Because you're in the exclusive, right, you're in the exclusive, you're using St. Barnabas, and you did your wellness thing, and that's just, that, they came up with that,
That's the carrot.
Yeah.
I mean, the 500, 1,000 is the stick, and we'll get rid of the stick if you go for the wellness. Right, the spouses and children do not have to participate in the wellness.
right now. I don't know.
Right now, our copay is waived for a well visit, will that still be in effect next year? Right now, our well visits are free of charge, we don't have to pay a copay, will that still be, that will still carry over next year?
I think so, yes. Yeah.
Lisa,
Through October 9th?
there's only 3 things too now, there's just those 3 things where you used to have to do like a whole bunch of things, I think, for the wellness. It was like a bunch.
Right, I think before you had to 2 out of 12 options.
The biometric thing.
Now it's 2 out of 3.
But these, you don't, you just do, you pick 2 out of the 3.
2 out of 3.
You're always at
No, it's 2 out of those 3 things that are listed. Look at it. It says completing your health assessment and the health pledge, completing a biometric screening, preventative visits. They say 2 out of those 3 things.
So if you go to your primary care doctor, it's like once a year checkup, you know.
No, all that's, it's all gone, yeah. That's just 2 out of those 3 things.
No, that, the $100 we were told, and again, this is not that unusual anymore, unfortunately, is only if the spouse is working and the employer makes insurance available. That's it. If he's working or she is working and there's no insurance offered, then there's no issue. Work or not working.
I know they changed the parameters for fall care. There are no parameters now. But what if your primary doctors are not Barnabas doctors and you don't want to give them up? How is that going to affect your copays and your possible hospitalization if you're hospitalized somewhere other than Barnabas?
You'd have to look at the select, it's in the tiers, right?
Yeah, are you an exclusive or select?
I believe I'm in select.
Well, select, you'd have to see whether the doctor is in one of the networks. It's not just the same. The exclusive is only the St. Barnabas network. So you'd have to go to not only a doctor who's in St. Barnabas, but who's also participating, since they don't all participate. But all St. Barnabas system facilities would be in. If you are in select, then you have those 3 options. You can go into a St. Barnabas facility or see a doctor in the system, in which case you would have a $500 or $1,000 deductible. Unless you did wellness, you'd have no deductible. But if you went into qual care, then you would have the higher deductible. And if you went into another network, you would have a still higher deductible. So you can go to those other doctors if you're in select, but you have to hold to one of those networks. Most doctors are in a network. There are some that are not in a network. Yeah, don't forget, when you're in one of those networks, it's not only the deductible, I think it's a reimbursement as well if they're not in the network.
If you look at this thing in the handout, it shows you the 3 different tiers for the select plan. Like just when you go to just Barnabas providers, if you go hospital, 12 care and multi-plan providers, and the last one is out of network. You know,
I just want to clarify, when you say unit pharmacists, providers, do you mean to say pharmacists providers? Are you limiting it to the mothership, or are you saying?
No.
Or that is all over?
yeah, it's
We
all
have
over.
indications that.
Yeah, he said that it's all our hospitals, you know.
Yeah.
Like if you were going for cardiac, you'd go to
Be
Blue Mountain.
Monmouth, Kimball,
Right.
community.
Yeah.
But not all doctors at St. Barnabas
Yeah.
have
Right.
No.
I think they
What
said
are we
North.
gonna do about that?
Well, they said that they have the option of being in any plan, and a lot of plans, and I did say to him that that was the reason that we switched to your plan years ago, and he says, well, we've got 3,000 out of 4,600 participating system-wide, and you
They're
can't
giving
make
us
them.
the stick. Why can't they make tell
He-
physicians, you have to accept this insurance?
We asked that question, and there were several reasons. One is that certain doctors have an attenuated relationship with St. Barnabas and really are primary at other hospitals, so they have no interest in being in the St. Barnabas system. They might be primarily connected with a different facility, so that might be one reason. Some doctors are in no system at all; they just don't want to be in a network. So, you know, there were several reasons given why they can't, because we asked, why can't you force them in as a condition of being at St. Barnabas? And basically their answer was, we can't force them, because some of them will just say, I don't need to be here.
Right.
So they force us to be
Yeah.
need to be here because we need to be here.
What?
So they force
They can
us
force
because
us.
they need to be here.
Well, they force you unless you want to pay more, in which case then you can go outside.
I think they're gonna manage it.
Right.
The $30 a month goes into it.
Right, but then if you
My understanding is that if you're an exclusive and you've used up and you're not doing your wellness, that after you use up your deductible, they cover 100%.
So,
We'll have to get that answer for you, and then I guess we can do an email.
well, we're gonna, yeah, we'll the answers, because we have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
So, we will be keeping you updated with negotiations, there's contact people, on all of your units, but please keep involved and keep abreast of all of this, because